Today is the 22nd of September 2025 and I am reading The Comedians. It's a novel by Greene, which was published in 1966. I'm in the second part here, chapter 5, and it's Roman 2, and it's quite a long chapter, so I'm halfway through this. The three comedians are Mr. Smith, the presidential candidate a long time ago, Mr. Jones, who calls himself Major Jones, and Mr. Brown, who is writing this story. Mr. Jones ended up in prison, and Mr. Smith is very keen to free him. We are now in the present again, and I continue Roman 2. The ambassador said, "Come on, cheer up. Let us all be comedians together. Take one of my cigars, help yourself at the bar. My scotch is good. Perhaps even Papa Doc is a comedian." "Oh no," Philippot said. "He is real. Horror is always real." The ambassador said, "We mustn't complain too much of being comedians. It's an honourable profession. If only we could be good ones, the world might gain at least a sense of style. We have failed, that's all. We are bad comedians, we aren't bad men." "Oh, for Christ's sake," Martha said in English, as though she were addressing me directly. I'm no comedian." We had forgotten her. She beat with her hands on the back of the sofa and cried to them in French, "You talk so much, such rubbish. My child vomited just now. You can still smell it on my hands. He was crying with pain. You talk about acting parts. I'm not acting any part. I do something. I fetch a basin. I fetch aspirin. I wipe his mouth. I take him into my bed." She began to weep, standing behind the sofa. "My dear," the ambassador said with embarrassment. I couldn't even go to her or look at her too closely. Hammett watched me, ironic and comprehending. I remembered the stains we had left on his sheets, and I wondered whether he had changed them himself. He knew as many intimate things as a prostitute's dog. "You put us all to shame," Philippot said. She turned and left us, but her heel came off on the edge of the carpet and she stumbled and nearly fell in the doorway. I followed her and put my hand under her elbow. I knew that Hammett was watching me, but the ambassador, if he noticed anything, covered up well. "Tell Angel I will be up in half an hour to say good night." I closed the door behind me. She had taken off her shoes and was struggling to fasten the heel. I took it from her. "There's nothing we can do," I said. "Haven't you another pair?" "I have 20 other pairs. Does he know, do you think?" "Perhaps, I don't know." "Will that make it any easier?" "I don't know. Perhaps we won't have to be comedians anymore." "You said you were no comedian." I exaggerated, didn't I? But all that talk irritated me. It made every one of us seem cheap and useless and self-pitying. Perhaps we are, but we needn't revel in it. At least I do things, don't I? Even if they are bad things. I didn't pretend not to want you. I didn't pretend I loved you that first evening. "Do you love me?" "I love Angel," she said defensively, walking up the wide Victorian staircase in her stockinged feet. We came to a long passage lined with numbered rooms. "You've got plenty of rooms for refugees." "Yes." "Find a room for us now." "It's too risky." "It's as safe as the car. And what does it matter if he knows?" "In my own house," he would say, just as you would say, "in our Peugeot." Men always measure betrayal in degrees. You wouldn't mind so much, would you, if it were someone else's Cadillac? "We're wasting time. He gave us half an hour." "You said that you'd see Angel. Then afterwards, perhaps. I don't know. Let me think." She opened the third door down and I found myself where I never wanted to be, in the bedroom she shared with her husband. The two beds were both double beds. Their rose-coloured sheets seemed to fill the room like a carpet. There was a tall pier glass in which he could watch her prepare for bed. Now I had begun to feel a liking for the man. I saw no reason why Martha should not like him too. He was fat, but there are women who love fat men, as they love hunchbacks or the one-legged. He was possessive, but there are women who enjoy slavery. Angel sat upright against the two pink pillars. The mumps had not noticeably increased the fatness of his face. I said, "Hi." I didn't know how to talk to children. He had brown, expressionless Latin eyes, like his father, not the blue Saxon eyes of the hanged man. Martha had those. "I'm ill," he said, in a tone of moral superiority. "So I see. I sleep here with my mother. My father sleeps in the dressing room, and the fever has gone. I have a temperature of—" I said, "What's that you're playing with?" "A puzzle." He said to Martha, "Is there no one else downstairs?" "Monsieur Hamet is there, and Hanoi." "I would like them to come and see me too." Perhaps they have never had mumps. They might be afraid of catching it." "Has Monsieur Brown had mumps?" Martha hesitated, and he took note of her hesitation like a cross-examining counsel. I said, "Yes." "Does Monsieur Brown play cards?" he asked with apparent irrelevance. "No, that is, I don't know," she said, as though she feared a trap. "I don't like cards," I said. "My mother used to. She went out nearly every night playing cards before you went away." "We have to go now," Martha said. "Papa will be up in half an hour to say good night." He held out the puzzle to me and said, "Do this." It was one of those little rectangular boxes with glass sides that contained a picture of a clown and two sockets where his eyes should be, and two little beads of steel which have to be shaken into the holes. I turned it this way and that way. I would get one bead in place, and then, in trying to fix the other, I would dislodge the first. The child watched me with scorn and dislike. "I'm sorry, I'm no good at this sort of thing. I can't do it." "You aren't properly trying," he said. "Go on." I could feel the time I had left to be alone with Martha disappearing like sand in an egg timer, and I could almost believe that he could see it too. The devilish beads chased each other round the edge of the box and ran across the eye sockets without falling in. They took dives into corners. I would get them moving slowly downhill towards the sockets on a low gradient, and then, with the slightest tilt to guide them, they plunged to the bottom of the box. All had to be begun again. I hardly moved the box at all now, except by a quiver of my nerves. "I've got one in." "That's not enough," he said implacably. I flung the box back at him. "All right, you show me." He gave me a treacherous, unfriendly grin. He picked the box up, and holding it over his left hand, he hardly seemed to move it at all. One bead even mounted against the slope, tarried on the edge of a socket, and fell in. "One," he said. The other bead moved straight for the other eye, shaved the socket, turned and dropped into the hole. "Two," he said. "What's in your left hand?" "Nothing." "Then show me nothing." He opened his fist and showed a small magnet concealed there. "Promise you won't tell," he said. "And what if I won't?" We might have been adults quarreling over a trick of cards. He said, "I can keep secrets if you can." His brown eyes gave nothing away. "I promise," I said. Martha kissed him and smoothed his pillows, and laid him flat and turned on a small night lamp beside the bed. "Will you come to bed soon?" he asked. "When my guests have gone." "When will that be?" "How can I tell? You can always say that I'm ill. I may vomit again. The aspirin isn't working. I'm in pain." "Just lie still. Close your eyes. Papa will be up soon. Then I expect they will all go away and I will come to bed." "You haven't said good night," he accused me. "Good night." I put a false, friendly hand on his head and ruffled his tough, dry hair. My hand smelled afterwards like a mouse. In the corridor I said to Martha, "Even he seems to know." How can he possibly? What did he mean, then, by keeping secrets? It's a game all children play, but how difficult it was to consider him a child. She said, "He has suffered a great deal of pain. Don't you think he's behaving very well?" "Yes, of course, very well." "Quite like a grown-up?" "Oh yes, I thought that myself." I took her wrist and drew her down the corridor. "Who sleeps in this room?" "No one." I opened the door and pulled her in. Martha said, "No, can't you see? It's impossible. I've been away 3 months and I've made love only once since then. I didn't make you go away to New York. Can't you feel I'm not in the mood? Not tonight. You asked me to come tonight. I wanted to see you, that's all, not to make love. You don't love me, do you? You shouldn't ask questions like that. Why not? Because I might ask you the same." I recognized the justness of her retort, and it angered me, and the anger drove away the desire. "How many adventures have you had in your life?" "4, she said, with no hesitation at all. "And I'm the 4th? "Yes, if you want to call yourself an adventure." Many months later, when the affair was over, I realized and appreciated her directness. She played no part. She answered exactly what I asked. She never claimed to like a thing that she disliked, or to love something to which she was indifferent. If I had failed to understand her, it was because I had failed to ask her the right questions, that was all. It was true that she was no comedian. She had kept the virtue of innocence, and I know now why I loved her. In the end, the only quality but beauty which attracts me in a woman is that vague thing, goodness. The woman in Monte Carlo had betrayed her husband with a schoolboy, but her motive had been generous. Martha, too, had betrayed her husband, but it was not Martha's love for me which held me, if she did love. It was her blind, unselfish attachment to her child. With goodness, one can feel secure. Why wasn't I satisfied with goodness? Why did I always ask her the wrong questions? Why not one adventure to last, I asked as I released her. How can I tell? I remembered the only real letter which I had ever received from her, apart from notes for rendezvous made ambiguous in case they fell into the wrong hands. It was while I was waiting in New York, and I must have written to her grudgingly, suspiciously, jealously. I had found a call girl on East 56th Street, and so I assumed, of course, that she had found an equivalent resource to fill the empty months. She wrote back to me with tenderness, without rancor. Perhaps having one's father hanged for monstrous crimes puts all our petty grievances into proportion. She wrote of Angel and his cleverness in mathematics. She wrote a great deal about Angel and the nightmares he was having. I stay in with him nearly every night now. And at once I began to wonder what she did when she did not stay in, with whom she passed the evening hours. It was useless to tell myself that it was with her husband or at the casino where I had first met her. And suddenly, as though she knew how my thoughts would turn, she wrote, or words to that effect. Perhaps the sexual life is the great test. If we can survive it with charity to those we love and with affection to those we have betrayed, we needn't worry so much about the good and the bad in us. But jealousy, distrust, cruelty, revenge, recrimination, then we fail. The wrong is in that failure, even if we are the victims and not the executioners. Virtue is no excuse. At that moment I found in what she wrote a lack of sincerity. I was angry with myself, and so I was angry with her. I tore the letter up, in spite of its tenderness, in spite of the fact that it was the only one I had. I thought she was preaching at me, because I had spent 2 hours that afternoon in the apartment on East 56th Street, though how could she possibly have known? That is the reason why, of all my jackdaw relics, the paperweight from Miami, an entrance ticket from Monte Carlo, I had no scrap of her writing with me now. And yet I can remember her writing very clearly, rounded and childish, though I can't remember the tones of her voice. Well, I said, we may as well go downstairs. The room we stood in was cold and unoccupied. The pictures on the wall were probably chosen by an office of works. You go, I don't want to see those people. The Columbus statue, when he's better? The Columbus statue. Just as I was expecting nothing, she put her arms around me. She said, poor darling, what a homecoming. It's not your fault. She said, let's do it. Let's do it quickly. She lay on the edge of the bed and pulled me towards her, and I heard the voice of Angel down the passage calling, Papa, Papa. Don't listen, she said. She had drawn up her knees, and I was reminded of Dr. Philippot's body under the diving board. Birth, love, and death in their positions closely resemble each other. I find I could do nothing at all. No white bird flew in to save my pride. Instead, there were the footsteps of the ambassador mounting the stairs. Don't worry, she said, he won't come here. But it wasn't the ambassador who had showed me. I stood up and she said, it doesn't matter. It was a bad idea of mine, that's all. The Columbus statue? No, I'll find you something better, I swear I will. She went out of the room in front of me and called, Louis? Yes, dear. He came to the door of their room carrying Angel's puzzles. I'm just showing Mr. Brown the rooms up here. He says we could do with a few refugees. There was not a false tone in her voice. She was perfectly at ease, and I thought of her anger when we talked of comedians, although now she proved to be the best comedian of us all. I played my part less well. There was a dryness in my voice which betrayed anxiety, and I said, I must go. Why, it's still quite early, Martha said. We haven't seen you for a long time, have we, Louis? There's a rendezvous I have to keep, I told her, without knowing that I spoke the truth. So that was the end of Roman 2, and I read Roman 3 soon.